In this session, we will address basic logic. Now, a lot of people might get turned off with basic logic, but this is the meat and potatoes of Excel, and this is a very powerful area. What we have in front of us are a whole bunch of different numbers and so forth. I'm going to focus on three different logic statements today. That's the if, the and the or. And how you can get to these is, if you'll notice this toolbar, it's a function toolbar, I believe, or a formula toolbar. It has an FX up here. It says insert function. So if I click on that, and if I go to select a category, and in this case select logical, this is what comes up: and, false, if, all this good stuff. We're going to focus on and, if, and or. Now we'll start with if. And let me go back out because I've put these tests pretty much on this spreadsheet. We have various conditions that we can test for. Here we've got some of these conditions laid out. We have an equals, which is equal to something, a greater than or equals, a less than or equals. Now what we can test on is both data and in the form of numbers or labels. Now we've got some of each laid out here. We'll start with the numbers, and you'll notice in the first condition A1 does equal to 20, A2 is equal to or greater than, you can say it either way, 30, and the question here is A3 equal to or less than, or the way it states it, less than or equal to 50. Now we can test, as I said, on labels also. So let's get started. Under if, and what we're going to do is we're going to test a condition, one of these conditions. And if the test comes out true, we're going to go in and return the true portion. If it's false, we'll return the false portion. It's really an if then else, with the test being the if, and if it's true, then you return the true section, or else you return the false section. So just remember, if then else. So what we have up here in our first test is if A1 equals to 20, return A5. If not, return A6. Well, you can see I've put a apostrophe in front of this so we could see the formula. The formula sits here. It's the same formula, you can see. If A1 equals 20, return A5. If it doesn't equal 20, return A6. We can see that it returned a true indicator, because A5 is true, A6 is false. If I change A1 to something other than 20, it returns false. Either higher, lower, 0, it must be 20 for that to return true. We can do the same thing on an and. Let me copy this over here and get rid of the apostrophe. And what we're testing on is A1 equal to 20? Well, we know that part's true. Is A2 greater than 30? Yes, that's true. So we again return true. If either of those conditions is not met, if A1 does not equal 20, it will return false. Notice it changed the first one also. So if I change that back to 20, and if I change this, so is A2 greater than 20, if I make that one a 19, it's false. Now you can test up to 30 conditions maximum in, I'm using 2010 version of Excel. So both conditions using the if and need to be true to return true. Let's do an or. You can probably guess how it's going to turn out. If either one is true. Here, if A1 equals 20 and A2 is greater than 20, it returned true. Well, if I make this a 19 also, it's going to return it false. If I make this one a 20, we're okay. Or if I make this one a 19 and come down here and say this has to be less than 20, I'll make it greater than 20, and it returned a true indicator. Both conditions, well, under the AND, single condition, the OR condition, under the if OR. Now you can do the same thing with labels. Here we're testing a label. Is A4 yes? If it is, return a true indicator. And you can return whatever you want. I mean, this is great for payroll tax stuff. But let me come in here real quickly and get rid of this guy. If A4 equals yes, then return A5. If not, return A6. Well, it looks like it's yes, but let's go into A4 and look at what's sitting there. If I start to edit it, if you'll notice, I've got a space in there. If I get rid of the space, it does return a true indicator. In this case, it wasn't the lowercase or uppercase that gave us the problem. It was the fact that it was not truly equal to yes. It might have been equal to yes with a blank. Okay, that's a lot to absorb, but I think if you go back through this thing, you'll find out that this is really fun, and you can nest these if statements too. You can put an if statement, and you can go in and have another if statement, and we'll get to that in the next session. This concludes our segment on basic logic.